Hey Parthiv, good to see you again. It's almost 12 noon in Brisbane today. What's happening in your world?
Well, good to see you too, bhai. It is 9:30 at night. After a long, happy, productive day, I'm looking forward to spending the evening with you, unwind, and talk about business with a glass of water.
Yeah, I thought you'd have chai.
No chai. This is just water.
Right.
That's all I drink. I haven't had soda since, oh God, 10 years.
Okay,
The only thing I drink is water.
excellent.
Anyway, speaking of water, we have an interesting question from Brent. Brent is asking, how do I create sustainable growth for my business? And I want to talk about business in the context of a river. So here, we are going to have Brent share his screen. And here are 4 visuals that kind of describes the entire landscape of a business, right?
So if anybody wants to go through the 4 visuals, just very quickly in a few minutes, they'll see the video up here somewhere to go through intro. We're going to go into a little bit more detail today.
Perfect.
So what do we have in front of us?
All right. So I'm going to show 4 pictures, Shaukat, to answer Brent's question. How do you create a sustainable growth for his business? What is sustainable growth? You know, sustainable growth means you don't have anxiety about where your next dollar is coming from. You have a marketing machine that is generating a steady stream of leads that come prepared to buy. You have an existing, grateful, happy clients and patients who pay, stay, and refer. You have a healthy, profitable P&L spreadsheet where you have predictable and healthy profits that makes you happy. You have a grateful team of humans that share your enthusiasm and are proud to be part of your vision and wholeheartedly believe in the core values of your business. You have a dependable supply chain that you can buy from, and you have reservoirs of cash in business and personal. So you use money to fund tomorrow's growth. What do you think about that, Shaukat?
Look, perfectly. You mentioned what's the biggest issue in business? Oh, I can't find good talent. Why? Because you can't pay for them. Let's face it. Maybe it's a leadership issue. Chances a leadership issue. You're not getting yourself any training, right? You're running back and forth looking for clients. You're chasing. So yes, you're successful. You may be making 100,000 or $1 million, but you're still chasing. So I think this rainmaking is a critical skill. It's not the only skill. You also mentioned profit, Parthiv. A lot of businesses confuse profit and cash inflow, which we'll come to that in a moment. But profit is one thing, actual getting paid is another thing altogether. So those are my thoughts. The other thoughts that I might have is a lot of businesses have this drought. There is rain, they are making rain, but they go through this drought and rain. So what they don't have is a system in place for continuous rain and controlling the amount of rain, because too much rain means what? We'll come to that in a moment. And too little rain means, again, you're struggling.
Exactly. See, look, why do I call it river of money, right? Because like river, like water, money flows in and out of someone's life, usually without their consent, sometimes without their knowledge, right? Most business owners don't have a strong handle on their core economics, most of them, right? So when Brent asks, how do I create a sustainable growth for my business? Well, what sustainable means to you? What growth means to you? So I want to talk about in broad stroke the 4 pillars of growth, right? Each chime in when on each pillar.
I'll
Okay?
say one more thing before we move to the next one. So whether you're a sunrise or high noon or a sunset, usually when you're a sunrise, you are the rainmaker. You have to be the rainmaker. You don't have a choice. But if you're at sunset or even high noon and you're still the key rainmaker, I've got bad news for you. You're not really a business. Got a big problem there, unless you have a system that augments what you're doing. So something to keep in mind when you're a rainmaker, make sure that as soon as possible, you have a system in place to make the rain so that you don't have to. Maybe no more than 30% of your time should be rainmaking once you get to the high noon. So your thoughts on that, Parthiv? Agree, disagree? And we should have difference of opinions.
Well, it's more of your core competence than mine. I am a rainmaker. I am the mountain, and the rest of it is acquired skills. Making money comes natural to me. So I am this young, energetic hunter-gatherer who has learned how to acquire land and be a farmer too. The sophisticated cash harvest, money management, wealth accumulation, and spend management. These are the kind of things I depend on people like you. So what do I do when I have a need to do stuff that is not in my core comfort zone? I hire people. I depend on my coaches. I mean, I spend north of 6 figures on my own continuing education, coaching, mastermind, and learning. I spend more money on Amazon than I do on my vacations. So,
and the reason you do that is because you've got rainmaking down pat. You have the capability to do that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 4 stages of water in the river of money. Stage 1 is rainmaking. You have to build a tall mountain that will make it rain. If you cannot make it rain, your land will be drought prone and your river will be dry.
Okay.
So you have to prospect, pitch, close, and collect. Every business has to do it.
So now
you have a comment on this before I move on to the next stage?
Let's move on to the next one. You can always circle back.
All right. The second part is the length of the river. It is not easy to acquire a relationship, right? It takes blood, sweat, and tears to find prospects, establish trust, and persuade them to buy something. And then you lose them. That sucks. You see, the guy who paid me most money didn't write the biggest check. He has been with me the longest. I'm a small guy. I'm not rich. I'm not rich. I'm a small business owner, just like you and people who are listening to this. I'm comfortable, but I don't ask for a large pool of money. I just want you to stay in my life for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So the length of the river matters. The third stage is building a dam.
Let me quickly mention something about the length of the river. So that's equivalent to customer lifetime value. And one of the thoughts I had was, I think Jeff Walker, Product Life Formula, he created a video many years ago, which hit it right on the board. On the dot. They actually, if I find it, I'll put the link in here. But they actually referred to research that was done by one of these fulfillment companies. They went and checked the orders of all their customers. And what they found that the majority, only 20% of sales, going back to Pareto, 20% of sales occurred in the first 3 weeks to 3 months. I don't know if you incur. 80% of the sales would take 12 to 18 months. Now, the first thing comes to mind, if you're not an automated business, that I can't chase a prospect for 12 to 18 months, which is fair. The whole idea is not to be a hunter and gatherer. The whole idea is to be a farmer.
Yes.
Now, if that is true, if what we agree is true, that length of river is critical. So it's going to take you, the real money is going to flow in 12 to 18 months, which is consistent with most successful business. They'll tell you the same thing. Hey, after 12 months, my business started growing rapidly. But because of what you did before that. Second thing is, once you acquire the customers, it goes back to your point. You're making a sale to acquire a customer for life. You're not trying to get a customer to make a sale, which is transactional, right? So the amateur is chasing a customer so they can have a transactional sale. The professionals, the wise, the legacy creators, they're looking to get a sale to acquire a customer so they can have a customer for life. So those are my thoughts for point 2.
Yeah, so that is the length of river is all about here. 100% right. Yes.
Oh.
You know, Shaukat, remember I said earlier today that I am a hunter-gatherer?
I don't believe you are, but go ahead.
I don't think I am. I think I'm a farmer who I don't even hunt, I just harvest.
I think you're remembering your early days, because you're definitely not a hunter. Every video I've seen with you with Dan Kennedy, every time you open your mouth at the $5,000 a person June event, you're not a hunter and gatherer. The whole Kennedy GKIC ecosystem is to move from being a high laborious hunter-gatherer, a frustrated hunter-gatherer, a chaser, to a farmer, a systematic farmer. So maybe that's your trauma from the early days, but you are not the definition of hunter and gatherer.
I think you're right. I'm a farmer. I am far more interested in extending the length of river than making it rain today. Because see, I invested enough yesterday, so my yesterday's goodwill is making it rain today. So I don't have anxiety. I actually have a steady stream of leads that are indoctrinated, come prepared to buy. I have grateful clients who pay, stay, and refer. And the dam. See,
the only difference I would say about you from your farmer as opposed to a normal farmer, well, I won't say a normal farmer, I mean a salesperson who's gone to farmer, they're still very broad. They plant every seed, they farm every animal, and they're overexhausted. So you're a more astute sniper farmer. You know what you want to farm, what you want to grow, and more importantly, you know what you don't want to farm, what you don't want to grow. And I think that established that differentiates you from everybody else who claims they're farming, or they're actually farming, but they're still with a hunter-gatherer mindset of ready, fire, and aim, just chasing, even as a farmer. So that's my concluding thought for the second slide.
Can I tell you something funny?
Yep.
My mom was the assistant director of agriculture for our state in India.
Wow.
So I think I'm closer to being a farmer than being a hunter-gatherer.
Okay, we better move on to the next slide. But yes, that's credibility right there. You've been trained as a farmer too.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the dam, right? So I've been following Dan Kennedy since 2009. And in 2017, I became a private client where we go to his house once a year and get a monthly call with him. So in 2017, the very first day of consult, what he said is, you have something that is worth preserving, protecting, growing, and selling it someday. Wealth creation. So the advice he gave me is to make large cash withdrawals and put money away. Have business savings account, personal savings account. Shaukat, in 2020 March, I lost 85% of my revenues in 2.5 days.
I remember you talking about that. Yep.
We are monthly recurring revenue, and I get a day of consulting followed by a monthly paycheck for an extended period of time. That's my business model, right? I have 14 people that depend on me. And then this happens. I gather my team and I say, nobody's getting fired, nobody's getting laid off, nobody is getting their hours cut, nobody's getting their hourly rate cut, and no vendor is getting paid late. Hide behind me. I don't know how long this storm will last, but I am going to dip into my savings, personal and business, for us to carry through this. So my whole team remain intact, integrated, and grateful. Then I went to my clients who said I cannot pay. I said, that's okay. I'll send you invoices, whatever you don't pay, I will write off. I don't know how long this COVID nonsense will last, but let us keep working, because while your competitors are shutting themselves down, we will be hovering. We will be waiting on the side of the runway. So at dawn, we are the first plane to take off. My clients stayed, happily stayed. This is how I went from being a vendor to a friend to a family. Because I'm like, if you can't call me on a bad day, why would you call me on a good day? There was only one power that I had, one superpower that I had, that allowed me, that empowered me to take that position with my non-paying clients and that position with my team members when I did not have the rain on the mountain. My dam.
Very, analogy is amazing. And to summarize that, really, whether you're a sunrise or a noon or sunsetting, you need to think about two things. This is what Dan Candy says. So anything you do today should be contributing to the current bank and the future bank. That's what literally a bank, a dam. And most businesses only focus on the current bank. How do I pay my employees? How do I get off the credit cards? So it's always the present 3 months. They're not putting something for the 6, 12, 18 months. And an example, just quickly, to be a bit more specific, the example of that is, yes, take out money from your business, number one. But to be able to do that to begin with is going back to farming. You're doing lead generating, lead nurturing the lead, referring back to what Jeff Walker's video earlier, understanding that the majority of your business is going to come in 12 to 18 months time. So not giving up, following up as a welcome guest, Dan Kennedy's word, and not an annoying pest. So when they are ready at the right time, they are entertained. That's number one. They're educated, they're informed, and they buy, right? Not giving up and having this arrogance. I've given you my best. I've given you 3 phone calls. You're a tire kicker. You're a plate licker, as in the case of financial services. So moving that attitude and the mindset, the internal dialogue about your perception of a prospect. Just because you're ready doesn't mean they are. So build a dam, build the assets, which is your client base, extract the funds when you have it, put it away. Don't buy your Tesla just yet. Put it away, because you never know when you might need it again. I think what you also talked about, the other benefits of DAM, when you are able to tell your employees, and these are another asset, these are your talent. How hard is it to find and keep talent? When you're able to tell them, listen, I'm going to look after you despite no rain. Telling your vendors, look, I'm going to look after you because you've looked after me in supplying your supplies, and like a real partner, not just a vendor. Telling your clients, listen, I know you're going through tough times, but you were there for me. right? So I'm going to be there for you during the bad times. We're not just going to be client, we're going to be family. These are all the additional benefits, which I think gives you peace of mind.
Yep.
Peace of mind that many businesses, you might not be rich, Parthiv, but many businesses, and I've had the good fortune of growing up in a house of industry veterans where they might be worth 50, 100, 700 million, a billion. They don't have peace. They don't have peace, right? So what you've got is this blessing that every business owner secretly wants, regardless of how quote unquote rich they are. That's my thoughts.
Sure.
On the
And the last thing is the estuary. This is where the river meets the ocean. This is your expense management. When you spend more than what you make, it's bad business. You will run the river dry. It is very important to have good financial controls over your spend. See, when the river meets the ocean, there is no more fresh water. It's all salt water. It's an irreversible thing. So don't think that an expense is an investment, because it's not. No investment as an investment, no an expense as an expense. You can have a cause and effect relationship between an expense and an income. After all, the clouds from ocean goes to the mountain, and that's how it makes it rain. It's a circle of cash. But just because you have heavy rain coming on the mountain does not give you an excuse to make unjustifiable spend. So you have to have reasonable controls over your spend. Roy Disney was one of the biggest assets of Walt Disney. He made sure Walt didn't go bankrupt. So you, as the sun in the sky, need to be your own Walt Disney and your own Roy Disney. So Brent, what do you think about what we talked about? Do you agree? Do you have any questions? Let's see, what does Brent has to say? He's been quiet. See, Brent cannot talk. He can either clap, or he can say, there, he's clapping right now. Or he can say, he can celebrate with us, or he can say he likes or dislikes something, or agree or disagree. But I think he's saying that he has loved what we have shared. I think we're coming up for time. What do you think? Anything else you want to cover, or do you want to call it a wrap for this episode?
So to wrap up that last slide, I think one of the businesses, as we started earlier, saying, just because you're making a profit doesn't mean you're getting cash flow. You got to get paid. And just because your business is getting paid doesn't mean it's staying in the business. How often do we hear about embezzlement? Who does the embezzlement? It's always the one who is a trusted employee for the last 20 years. Does that mean you should stop trusting your trusted employees? No. The system's in place. We need to put in checks and balances. People go through different stages in their life, just like your business, sunrise, noon, and sunset. Everyone goes through that phase, and you never know what hiccup they might face, which forces them or gets them to dig into the company's cash flow. So I think if we focus, I think Sunrise, they're a lot more focused on spend management because they need the money, right? I think they start getting a little bit too comfortable at high noon, and definitely they forget at the sunset period. And we'll talk about loss prevention in a separate video in detail, where businesses are trying to sell their business. On paper, it looks good, but when the due diligence comes about checking cash at bank, there's huge gaping holes, and now they aren't able to sell their business. And they're at the prime of the career, and they don't have the 10 years to buy it back. So those are my thoughts on the last video. So I don't know if Brent likes that.
I think Brent likes you.
Cool. And so now we're done, and we'll move on to the next video for next week.
Thank you very much.
See you all.